if reposted.
All right, Larry, I'm excited about today's quote because I think we're going to disagree. It comes from Steve Jobs. He says, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do." I think it's easy for me to come from the position I'm in is not having kids, and I haven't ever had to worry about my next meal. But I believe this is true. In I just I believe it. What do you think?
Are we going to talk altruistically or are we going to talk like reality?
I think probably both. I think in reality, like you might not be in a job that makes you truly satisfied, but I think if you're in that position, you should strive to find something that does satisfy you, whether it's something you get paid for or not.
I literally think this quote, by the way, just for record, let's just get Steve Jobs on record. He met Steve Wozniak, who you could argue was the key to his entire success.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs was mostly ideas, mostly driven. He randomly met Steve Wozniak when he was a freshman at Cal, and Wozniak was in high school, introduced by a guy named Bill Fernandez. Randomly, weirdly met, and they make this great couple because Wozniak could design the computer that Steve has in his head. What happens if those two don't meet?
He finds someone else to implement his ideas. I mean, he got fired from Apple, and he worked for BCJ, which is a design firm, and then he went back. And
okay. Just to back that up, he gets fired from Apple, comes in the next time after having Next computers, comes in, and the guy who designs the iPad, the iPod, the phone, all that, I'm blanking on his name right now, was this British designer that was already hired by somebody else. You can argue in Steve Jobs' career, it was mostly luck that got him to where he was. Now, he was driven, but he happens to meet Wozniak, and I'm blanking on the guy who, he's a brilliant designer from England. So, yes, it is true that he works hard and he loved what he was doing, but he kind of like lucks into this. And so I think oftentimes like we luck into things we love, right? It's not like, oh, I'm gonna go do this and it'll be happy. It's like life is random and then it turns out to be that way.
What is luck to you? For me, it's when opportunity meets preparedness. Like,
Of course.
I think like you look at artists all the time. I think maybe there's some amazing artists or musicians or whatever out there that they don't have the skill set to get their art out into the world, and they're never going to be found. Just like Steve Jobs took what Wozniak was doing, and maybe Wozniak could have had someone else bring it to fruition. But I mean, I think we're getting off the topic of like what you do.
Altruistically, yes. If you like what you do, you don't work. Totally get it. I mean, who would debate that? Like, who would be like, but how many people, literal people, in the history of Earth get to choose what they want to do? Like most people, exception of the industrial age, like 100 years ago, had to become a blacksmith because their parents were blacksmith. You had to work to do whatever just to get water. So it's only been in the last 200 years. And by the way, not even around the Earth, like maybe only in industrial nations that we get to sit back and go like, hey man, I want to do whatever I want. I just say work is more it's been a family thing, and only recently have human beings been able to have the luxury, and not all of them, to choose what they want to do. So we're not programmed that way is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think what I'm taking away from this is even if you're not doing something you love, like find some joy in it, or if you're being miserable, like figure out something else to do or figure out a way that's going to make you happy, because it's going to trickle into your relationships, like your friends or your kids or your family. You're going to end it up like it weighs on you. Like I've been in a terrible job before, and it physically changes you and makes you a bad person to be around.
No, totally. And yes, partially I agree with that. And I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I disagree with the premise, but I agree with that. And I like the idea like what Google does. Google gives programmers like 10% of their time to work on whatever they want. And what Google's paying them to do that, but maybe you should be doing that at your work, sort of volunteer, like an extra 10%. Because like if you don't like what you're doing, maybe there could be something you like at your job and you just have to find it. I've definitely done that at jobs where I've like almost created another job because I took extra time to dig down into something that I thought was interesting within that company, and it made all the difference.
Yeah, it's just being able to be satisfied in what you're doing. I mean, looking at Steve Jobs, it's very easy to say, okay, you were a straight white billionaire, that's easy for you to say looking back. And probably in the middle of it, maybe when he got fired from Apple, he might not have said these things. But I think in a big picture way, there's something to be taken from this.
Of course, there's absolutely. But I really feel like this is the fundamental problem with the United States in our system, is that on the coasts, we have this luxury of highly educated people who go to college and have been raised in a system. But the middle of the country, which relied on manufacturing jobs to build our cars, to build our appliances, those jobs are gone, and manufacturing is in China. So you wake up as someone from the Midwest and you're like, man, I don't have a job. I don't have the training. And they don't necessarily have, and I feel like that's kind of the chasm in our electoral system with the people that Donald Trump's talking to, like, hey, I'm here for you, man. It's because they don't have the job system that we do on the coast. So I think this is like a big problem, but I definitely agree with Steve Jobs. Go find Pash.
Well,
And you.
yeah. And I guess one more thing, because I know our demo is people that live in the Midwest, but like if you lose your job and you start working a hourly job, like try to find joy. All I'm saying is try to find joy in everything you do.
And I'm just saying, I feel like the most percentage of people are just grinding through the everyday bits and pieces of life and can't even fathom the idea that, hey man, I'm gonna take a couple seconds to just dream about what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, most people are grinding, but yeah, take a couple seconds and be like, what do I want? And whether it takes you 10 years to get there, like just have that in mind.
Even if you're a single mom of 3 who's working 4 jobs and is trying to take care of a son with cancer, you should still take that time to be like, you know what?
Yeah, because positive thoughts help you feel better. I don't know.
Dude, that's good vibes. That's good vibes.
All about the good vibes. If you need someone to draw a vision board for you, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for Bill Gates saying thanks for stopping by.